Try before we die with a bearded man and a British guy.
Hey, Malcolm.
Why do I do this? Why? Tell me.
Do you know what kind of episode we're going to do today?
Based on the way everybody's looking at me, it's a special episode.
Wouldn't there be a bottle on the bar?
There would be, but there's something different, something a little bit change
going
up.
On, right?
Something to make you more important.
Wait till you see. But first, we just want to tell you, we have a guest on set.
We do.
Yeah. So this is Ethan Kelley from Acker Wines, right? An international group involved with wine and spirits.
Wine and spirits, auctions and retail.
Yep. And you are the director of spirits?
That I am, yes.
It's really great to have your expertise on set.
My liver on set.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
My liver and my palate
He's
on
right
set.
up my alley. I like it.
Yep. Good. Well, we're excited to have you. We're excited to sort of, chit-chat with you and see
no
what
doubt.
we can learn from each other. So that's exciting for us. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We'll talk maybe a little bit more at some point about how we got to know each other. But Mal, you're right. It is sort of like a special bonusy kind of episode. The feel is in the air.
The month is right as well, isn't it?
Yes, this is actually, I think it says there, this is my birthday episode.
How much did you pay Lemon to do that?
So, do you know how old I'm going to be?
Wait, I'm 55. 53? 4?
No.
3.
53. Why is that relevant in my life? This is sad, everybody.
Unfortunately, you've lost a couple.
In my family, it's the year of... this is the year 53 that my mother passed. This is the year 53 that her brother and my uncle passed.
Yep.
And this is the year 53 that my father had his triple bypass heart attack.
Yep.
And so I've had a lot of anxiety approaching the year 53.
You actually have. And to be truthful about this, he actually has expressed it. I've always just rolled my eyes. I mean, he's my best mate. I've known him for years, and you never think about something drastic that happening. But he has talked about it. So this is a landmark.
This is the year that I have to get through.
Yep.
What's the name of the show?
Try before you... Well, actually, it's sort of changed, but it is Try Before You Die.
Yep. Try before we die, right?
Yes.
Though sometimes now it's try until we die, right?
Yes.
So, in keeping with the spirit of try before we die, it seemed that as I turned 53, that I might as well keep true to the word.
Yep.
So we're going to try something today.
All right. Oh no!
Yes.
Good Lord, this
Right?
is special.
Why would I die and not try? I'm not planning on dying, everybody.
No, I don't.
But not many folks have that in their plan.
This is huge.
This is a big one.
I have actually got goosebumps on the back of my.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like
feel it.
my whole body's like tingling right
I
now.
feel it.
I didn't think this was ever going to get opened.
Ethan, is this a little exciting?
Yes, very, very exciting.
Do you know what this is? I mean, I know you know what this is.
Well,
do you remember what this is?
No, I don't know the entire backstory, but this is like the revered bottle in this collection by a country mile.
Well, it certainly is the oldest bottle in this collection. So this is the 1948 White Horse.
Good Lord, I never thought this thing would ever see the daylight.
We're still above the shoulder. It's a spring cap. I have no experience opening one,
No,
but it's my birthday.
but happy birthday to us.
I'm not giving you any.
Oh, that's what you think. Wow.
Yep, tax stamp intact. Do you know the story of how I got this?
No.
So you'll recall our paintball days and getting plaques made and all this.
Yeah.
And so when the woman left the business, she took her engraving machine with her, and so I ended up at her house getting some engraving done, and started talking about the bar here, the bitter end, and we laughed, and then she looked at her husband, and we laughed some more, and then he said, "Go ahead, show him." And so she came down with this bottle that her aunt, who had run a secondhand furniture store, wound up within some piece of furniture and gave it to this woman, Patty, I think, because Patty owned a white horse. And said, "Oh, you have a white horse. I found this in a piece of furniture at my antique store." And I made her an offer. She said, let's do a little research. I went into some online groups with White Horse. It was very transparent. The tax stamp is still on it. Shared all the information. My offer was identical to the value that came up in the forums. And with that information that I shared with her, she accepted the offer. And I have had this bottle for, I believe, probably 5 years, thereabouts.
I didn't know you got this locally. Like locally?
Like outside of Keene, New Hampshire.
Good Lord.
Right. You just never know where a conversation may take you, Ethan.
You
would
really
agree?
don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is in pristine condition, by the way. You don't see that all the time.
Yeah. When I went into the groups to talk about it, a number of people were messaging me with, "I'd like to talk to you about your bottle." And I answered none of them. So one of the ways we tracked down, you have a queen in your home country?
Yes.
She's been there for quite some time.
Yes.
So one of the ways we track down, in addition to the tax stamp, is it says on here, His Majesty the King.
Good Lord. So that's before 40 then, right? No, before 40. When she freaking 48 maybe.
So Ethan, help me here.
52.
So my belief is this is a 1948 White Horse based upon a few things that I've sorted out with tax stamps and forms. That would be the year of bottling, in my opinion, with the tax stamp. And so we're talking about something that was distilled probably pre-war because of barley restrictions.
Probably pre-war, and even the tax stamp is probably more indicative of time of export.
Right.
So it was probably sitting in a warehouse in a box waiting to be sold for a couple of years. The tax stamp is the last thing that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably been around for even longer before that. The thing that's pretty impressive about blends from that time, though, is how little grain is in them. So when you taste them, they're going to be malty and big. They're not like the grains or the blends of today.
This is perhaps a whiskey that has no nuclear fallout in its production because this is before nuclear explosions.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we had a radometer or something, whatever those are called. It just feels exciting right now.
I've got to put you on the spot. Why did you choose that one?
Because it's my birthday.
I got to choose one with this. This one is my birthday.
That one's off it's out of range for everybody but me. But this is, 53. I have a lot of anxiety about this upcoming year.
I appreciate what you've been going through.
And so, Ethan, you and I were sort of talking earlier, and we noted this bottle. And you asked me, do I know what this bottle's foundation is?
Yeah.
And I said, I am under the impression that this is predominantly a Lagavulin.
It is.
Oh.
It is. So it's, and you don't see a whole lot of peated blends, especially on the mass market. We're not talking about some one-off of Compass Box or something contemporary. You're talking about a time when a blended whiskey was going to have those flavors, and that's what it was. So now we have to almost graduate into the Lafroig, into the Ardbeg world.
Yep.
Back then, here's your blended Scotch. This is what it is. Love it or leave it.
Yeah.
And that's... You'll taste it. I remember when I started, I opened up a spring cap of Hague.
Okay, yep.
Spring cap.
Yep, we've talked a little bit about Hags and they're blended, yep.
And I open them up, and it's funny. In auction, we see a lot of the old blends from the 40s and 50s come in, just because they're always in Grandpa's liquor cabinet, right? And they were wildly popular. And we had good marketers back then that sold, and we had good distribution networks. But you also get a lot of Canadian clubs. The value on some of those things is not particularly high.
Right.
So a lot of people just walk past them. Do yourself a favor, pick them up and try them, because the production methodology was wildly different. It's just like going from a 2020 Honda Civic to a 1971 Roadrunner. You're in for a treat.
Yeah.
Granted, you might wrap it around a tree, but
Well, we went through some of that production idea
when
when we did the 55 Crown Royal,
Right.
compared to a modern Crown Royal. We're talking pre-computers, right? More of a hands-on manufacturing process that's really going to create this unique experience.
and if I may, being out here in New Hampshire, you had an entire, and not many people think about this, you had an entirely different agricultural source. So you're going pre-GMO in a lot of cases, pre-certain pesticides, pre-fertilizer, you're pre a lot of things. So your original source of these things is wildly different,
Yep.
including even the water sources and how well we clean and
Yeah.
reverse osmosis. And so, I mean, you can really take this back very, very far. So you're...
I'm going to change my mind.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. I'm totally not.
Once it's on the table, it's got to go.
It's going to happen. It's just for the cameras, the back of the bottle.
It is, for those who really can't get close to it, it is, if you look at this bottle, you can see how old it is. I mean, it truly is a wondrous thing to look at. It's something that you would see and you were like, oh, the only thing that's missing, it's not that dusty. That's the only thing that's missing.
It's been in a case.
That's right.
Case. Ethan, do you see anything fraudulent about this bottle or anything like that? I know sometimes there's this idea that sometimes some of these old single malts have been proven to not be genuine anymore.
And we actually work with a third-party team specifically on that looks at everything. But no, not on this. Not on this. I don't see anything at all that would be called
Raise
into
alarm.
question.
Yep.
I mean, number one, those spring caps. You know how hard it is to redo those?
No.
It's incredibly difficult. And when fraudsters want to do that, they want to hit bottles that are high value, one-offs.
Right.
Which is why you see like a certain Speyside distillery gets knocked off quite a bit. Or they're going to knock off stuff that is so in demand that people will buy without looking.
Right. And just... Yes.
Yes.
Just for the bragging right.
I got it. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
And
and
that's where you want to see. Wow. But this, it's when you're...
The spirit looks very clear in this bottle. Very clean. I don't know if you can see it with the lighting there.
It does, and the fill is remarkably high for this.
Which is a common strength of the spring cap, the way I understand it, that it allows it to sort of be bottled for decades without much loss.
The spring cap was a good design. It was a great design. Only problem is it's pretty difficult to use and reuse.
Yeah.
So a spring cap, once it's off,
You're drinking it.
you're drinking it.
I got a lot of extra corks.
You're gonna want to put a cork in it. As they say.
Yeah. So Ethan, we're going to open this bottle. So I've never opened a spring cap. I knew this is what was going to happen. And so I tried to do some YouTube, some online, and I could find nothing about how to open a spring cap. So do you mind talking me through a little bit of this?
Just pull it down and twist. It should pop off pretty.
So help me
quickly.
understand. Here goes the tax stamp.
I want to keep that.
Yep.
Let's see what we got here. You're just going to pull it down, and that's going to tear the foil, which you can see right here. It's over it.
Yep.
And my wine coworkers are going to kill me. You know the cage on a champagne cork?
Yeah.
It's going to be treated a lot more like that. So you're going to pop that foil off that's over it.
Yep.
That's kind of your child safety seal,
Yeah.
if there was such a thing.
So I'm going to do the foil first.
And then you're just going to pull this down and untwist it, and it should pop right off. Pretty quick.
Okay.
If not, just...
You nervous?
I am nervous. So first I'm going to sort of try to peel some of this foil away.
Yeah, so you can see what you're working with there.
Can I come from the bottom?
You probably right there on the side. You see how it's kind of right here, this bump here, where it's...
Yeah.
Kind of pull that out and... Get the
Feels
foil off.
old. Feels old.
Yeah.
We've got some foil. How much should I be looking to peel off?
Well, you're gonna have to peel it off all the way around and expose it, and it's gonna.
All this?
Yep, right around the.
Around the whole bottle.
Yep. And there you have it. Now you see it, right?
Wow, that's different.
Top two?
If you want to, it's not gonna make much of a difference.
You better keep that one for your collection.
That is nice. That is nice.
Yeah.
You get another one, you turn that into a cufflink.
Yeah. Or during my great Scotch wars, a little metal. This might not ever happen again here, everybody. This is an exciting day.
Yeah.
So I've got this White Horse seal across the top too. That probably stays in place.
Should. Yeah, it'll pop when the cap pops.
And so now I'm just to squeeze and pull down.
Yeah. Squeeze, get that foil off there so you can do it. It should pop right off. It should be pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, kind of, there might be a little cage on it there. See how it's kind of tied down?
You can just see that dust coming off.
Yeah, I did.
And there you go. You were officially, see how it's just been tied a little bit?
Yeah.
Right there.
Good luck.
Thanks.
It's not going to ruin the whiskey. There's no broken glass. There's no nothing.
Yeah, so just squeeze and pull down.
Yeah, does it look like it's been twisted? I'm not wearing my glasses right here. Do we have to?
There is a twist there, yep.
Yeah, so you might pull it out and untwist it, and then it should pop right out. Yeah.
It's going to shoot your eye out, kid.
Nah. Just kind of unclicks a little bit.
It's in there, I think.
Yeah.
There are tools that I would use.
I always just keep a wine key on me, just kind of pull things out.
Oh, it does feel like it's falling back.
And I had a friend in high school who would have just put it in his teeth and just popped it off.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
No?
Yeah. So the bottom feels free, Ethan.
Yeah.
Do you want to take? Should I? I trust you.
I wouldn't do that. Yeah. So should just come in. I would bring this right up.
And then twist it.
Yeah.
Bring that bottom up and twist it.
Bring that bottom up because that's the closure. Like
it is just like the champagne bottle.
the champagne stops.
Yeah.
The reused one. Those white things you put in. And there you go.
Oh, did you hear that little pop?
Yeah.
It should just come off, right? Oh,
Now it is old. Keep that in mind. So you're.
And so to free up the. Oh.
There you go. You're not selling that now.
Look at that.
No, it's not for sale.
That is unbelievable.
And now you see when you put that back on, the problem with the spring cap is it's not particularly.
You'd have a really hard time.
But this was also a time and age when people would sit down and drink a bottle of whiskey.
Like today?
But
I'm going to ask one of the crew if you could bring me 3 whiskey caps, please, from below the glass door.
Yeah, this is really unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in my life. Oh, good pour as well there, buddy. Nerves have gone from you.
So, Ethan, usually what we do is cap them and let them breathe for a few minutes.
Sure.
Can you put the the coaster back up front? Thank you, sir. The most likely 1948 White Horse certainly appears to be stilled before World War II because of barley restrictions during the war, both World War I and World War II. Many distilleries had to stop production. to feed the troops. And so for this to be released in the post-war, this was pre-nuclear era spirit. We can feel, maybe not 100%, but we can feel like this might be true.
I would say it's pre-nuclear. I would say it's probably pre-hydrometer to some degree. Mm-hmm. You're definitely talking pre-computer. So when we read and we start learning how whiskey's made, right, you read the myths, and they're not myths, they were legends of the nose and the blender and the warehouse manager and the brewer who makes the ferment for all these things.
Yep.
There was one person.
Yep.
You know, there were in each of their departments. Now, it's all on computers. We can take a molecular read of what's happening in the still, and you can sit on a beach many, many miles away and adjust the still heat and everything else. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
In fact, there's technology that's used by craft distillers. If we wanted to go to Tulum today and run a still in New Hampshire, it'd be pretty easy. This, not so easy. So
this is more the art than the science.
Yeah. Would you call that more of a craft than it is in this day and age?
Malcolm, that is a trick question. There is the fun part about whiskey is there is only so far science can take you.
Okay.
Whether you're talking back then or whether you're talking about today. Think of it again like an automobile. The Model T did a lovely job of getting you from point A to point B. Today's cars can get you from point A to point B faster, safer, and in more comfort. But it's still taking you from point A to point B. And so things have changed, but you're going to taste something very strange on this, and that's that agricultural grain. You get these on some of the old bourbons from the 60s and 70s, where today we use yellow dent number 2, which is an agricultural grade corn, and it gives the distillers everything they need.
Right.
But when you go back and you're using a heritage grain corn or a heritage breed corn, the flavor is there to a degree, but the mouthfeel. And I've never had this, but I'm going to bet dollars to donuts that the mouthfeel on this is big, brash, and oily.
I am super excited about this. While you guys were talking, I pulled the bottle. 86.8 proof, which is 43.4 ABV.
Okay.
Right. So, of course, as we've learned, 40 ABV is the minimum to be a Scotch, and so we've got a 43.4 White Horse blended Scotch whiskey with a foundation of Lagavulin to our best knowledge, which I agree with you, Ethan. I think that is really truth, right? Not best knowledge. So I'm kind of like feeling like happy birthday to me, and let's have a drink.
It's a very happy birthday to you.
Yeah. Try before we die.
Yeah.
Right? We wouldn't be true to the show if we avoided the ones that, you should have kept that. No. This is the year for me to have this whiskey.
The other fun part is you're trying something that some of your family members should have tried before them. So we're going back generations with this bottle. We
drank a 53 Strathila, and we talked a lot about that. This is what the plaid jacket at the country pub. This is what they drank, right? So we're having a drink of whiskey that, and no sexism, here, but that the men would have had, almost 100 years ago, right? So very fortunate to have these experiences.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's a pleasure to be able to sit here.
So I'm going to pass off some glasses.
Yeah.
And we're going to pull our caps. We're going to take a nosing, talk a little bit about what we experience on the nose, and then we'll have a tasting, talk about that, and maybe we'll see if we wanted to pair it with some 2-year cheddar, some blue cheese, some olive, some pineapple, some orange chocolate, or some dark chocolate.
Or a Lucky Strike.
Which would be appropriate. Here you go, my friend.
All right.
Ethan?
Thank you, sir.
All right. So we'll talk a little bit about color. It really has like a classic darker whiskey color. It's not light. It's not a light gold. It's not a straw. It's not a hay. We often ask our guests, Ethan, would you pick a color?
I would call this classic amber, and this is another fun point to recognize here. The bourbon laws went into effect in 1964, which states that it has to be in a brand new barrel every single time, right? And that's when America started supplying Scotland with all the barrels.
With the used barrels, right.
Can't use it.
Which is why a lot of the whiskeys behind you right now are predominantly bourbon cask with some sherry. Here, we don't have that law. So we are probably looking again at a European oak, if not more sherry influence. And I think that color,
That reddish.
you're starting
tint.
to see that. That is not. That's either a lot of years in a bourbon cask, which for a blended Scotch we know we're not at,
Right.
or sherry cask. So there's going to be some sherry or some wine influence on that.
I mean, I find it to be a very clear, clean, beautiful liquid.
And it sheets down the glass. Just sheets. down the
Sheets,
glass.
right? The legs are not so individual as it's just a return. Almost as if a shower curtain fell in slow motion with the little like teeth at the top as it just drops down. We're really big into descriptions here, Ethan.
I see that.
All right, well, shall we have a nosing?
I believe so.
Right away, I am so reassured that this is a Scotch whiskey and that there is nothing foul about this whatsoever.
It's a lot more well behaved on the nose.
Yes.
It's
I
almost.
almost thought I was going to get punched, but I didn't.
It didn't. It's very restrained.
Yeah, there was a jab, if we're going to go with punching, a quick jab, and then we just began to dance in the ring.
It has a really, for something this old, it has a really pleasant smell.
It is, again, I was nervous, right? And maybe that's irrational, right? But just due to the antiquity of it, the nature of what we're doing here today, and just hoping there wasn't going to be some failure connected to this. And so far, between the capping on the bottle, the coloring, the nose, no letdown.
The one thing I will throw, it's got more of an organic smell.
It doesn't have a lot of up and down to it. It's sort of it takes off and plateaus without a peak. And now I'm trying.
Are you getting a cognac thing?
So
on this?
I'm just about to go back to your wine ideas, and
Yep.
There's that very distinct cognac fruit to it.
all right. Now that you say the fruit piece, it sort of rises up and plateaus and just remains this really. There is this piece of sweetness.
I was actually going to throw out brandy, but cognac could be the one.
Although there's still a very exciting youthful.
Yes.
This is not stayed.
Yeah.
Overly mature like you get in some of those 25-year-old whiskeys.
Right.
So you have the bottle is old,
Right.
But the freshness is still.
but it's
The seal was good on this bottle.
impeccably so.
This is really exciting.
So far, each step has been exceeding expectations. And we have like one step left. And so we're talking brandy, maybe cognac. We're talking sweet fruit. We're talking sort of this small plateau and just very consistent. We're talking it has a level of freshness or I don't know, Ethan, newness, but it certainly isn't. It hasn't fallen off in a cask and just sat on a shelf somewhere sort of deteriorating. It was in a cabinet in a furniture store, so we know it wasn't exposed excessively to sunlight for its lifespan. And of course, here at the bitter end, we keep it relatively dark, and you're just licking your lips.
Yeah, because what makes it, you have this predisposition. It's an old bottle. It's been sitting around. But now we've had it open and we've smelled it. This is like, wow, this is actually smelling really, really fantastic.
It is. Well, gentlemen, shall we have a taste?
I believe so, but
Yeah.
happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, my sir. Have it.
The pre-war White Horse. So I'm going to start with wow. And the Lagavulin is just
On the back.
Yes.
just so there.
It waits. It's on the tip of my tongue now,
Yeah.
and it doesn't even expose itself until you.
If you allow it to float on the back of your tongue, that's where you get it.
It's a little.
But I've got nothing, like up front, a slight little bit of numbness. But then it just rolls back, and the back of my throat is just coated right now. That's fantastic.
That is, I'm going to start with wow. The Lagavulin is so obvious.
I'll
on
go.
the palate, but on the nose, I didn't.
No.
No.
On the nose, I was actually getting that young grain whiskey component, which is a delightful smell if you're in a distillery and you smell
Right.
it. It's very grassy and
Right, yep.
green and youthful.
Yep,
and you can
we've been
smell,
there, yep.
And you can smell that on today's blends
Yep.
pretty quickly. But that's gone. Lagavulin is out.
There was this great dichotomy between the nosing and the tasting. And again, we've experienced that many times here of, oh, that's not what I thought. There's a level of crispness in here too, for me. It's like, and I don't want to say sharp. I guess I want to go with crisp to begin, and then it just unfolds, right, as it just rolls back.
It literally explodes on the back of your palate.
So pleasant.
Literally explodes. Like you would,
Right.
if you after you take it in and you have that first bit. I rolled it on the back of my tongue the entire time. Did not want to take it down because I wanted to see what was going to do. If it's going to get overpowering, and as soon as you gulp, it just goes.
Just kind of takes the wrapping paper off the
Right.
gift almost, and just. But it's still, the Lagavulin is still with me,
Yep.
and it does not smell like that.
Not
all.
at all.
Not even close.
Not even close. Agreed.
Yeah, you could even. I would never. And obviously, I'm the more the novice in this group, and I never would have thought this was based on Lagavulin. Not in 1,000 years. Until you taste it.
The one thing I agree with, I wouldn't reduce the alcohol on this at all.
I just took another sip, to let it rest in the front of the mouth, and it's there that it's simple. And the minute you take it back, that Lagavulin just goes pa-ding.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not
stunning.
going away. It's just the
It's-
Lagavulin will stay. Everybody else can go,
Yeah.
and the Lagavulin stays.
And it coats. Just coats.
It is so pleasant.
It's remarkable. It's remarkable that a bottle this old that was found in a backwater
An
town
armoire.
in an
Right.
armoire
Yeah.
has that much going for it. And I can tell the crew, been looking at the crew, and there's certain members in there just like, oh yeah.
yeah.
But you can't describe it until you actually let it go back into your throat. Because if you were just take the beginning part of it, you'd be like, oh, okay. But as soon as it covers the back of your tongue, it's a done deal.
Right. If we just described it with the pleasant color, the pleasant nosing, the beginning of this, which is just sort of unremarkable. If we just left it there, we just had a nice glass of whiskey, right? But you factor in this bottle, the age, and then you take it back into the rest of your mouth and down the throat, and it's like, oh my gosh, right? And so you imagine, what are you? You're plowing your field with a horse, right? Are you, walking from one field to the next? The day has ended, and you've come to the pub to rally with your mates, right? And you've had a glass, because of course in these days, Ethan, blended Scotch whiskey was Scotch whiskey.
That was it.
That was it.
The
Right.
the only people drinking single malts would have been the lower classes who lived or either worked in the single malt
At
distillery.
the
Really?
distillery.
That's interesting.
So, I mean, a lot of people really are prone to forget how young of a category single malt Scotch is on the global market.
Yeah, right. We
Was it-
have the 69 or whatever Glenfiddich up here.
Yeah, so that was number one, followed by Lafroig was number two
Right, in terms of like the marketing and all this.
of coming to the U.S.
Yeah.
So we sit here in the U.S. and we think this stuff has been around for everybody.
Everybody drank blended because there was consistency in the flavor. You knew what you were going to get, and they were creating something on purpose.
And you were buying stuff. The grocers. Have you ever done any of the research on some of the grocers, like the John Dewars or the Chivas brothers?
Yes.
And they were real.
Yeah.
They were very real people
Yeah.
who were supporting their farm and their local agriculture by buying their whiskey, their single malts that nobody wanted.
Right.
I mean, it was like buying Ripple from your neighbor and saying, maybe if I can blend this together,
If we can find something palatable.
we can do something. And then
Yep. So I'm going to begin to bring us. We've had a long episode.
It's been a good episode.
but it's, I think, worthy of what we've done so far this afternoon. And I just think, Ethan, sometimes we talk about. I think we're all in agreement that there is no water going in this whiskey.
No.
And if I was going to think about a pure dark chocolate or an orange chocolate, a pineapple and olive, a blue cheese, or 2-year aged cheddar to pair with this, I'm personally going to have a little piece of the blue cheese.
I work in the wine world, surrounded by wine people. I've done a lot of work with pairings.
Yep.
Love pairings.
Right.
But there's this notion that all pairings are supposed to be Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. I am not of that ilk. I think a perfect pairing is Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. So one of my personal favorites is Ardbeg Ugadal and Bailey Hazen Blue Cheese.
Yep.
Nobody will be kissing you for many, many hours after that, but it is fantastic. And I would say if you're going to do blue cheese with this, I would be very, very careful and do something a little on the lighter side.
I was going for this little corner here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can get into some
Right. I don't want to dominate the flavor.
Yeah.
Right. I just think of how punchy the Lagavulin is in the backside and the punchiness of the blue cheese.
I'd be very curious about that one as well. I don't think it's a chocolate whiskey.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I was going to do the cheddar.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, if the pairings are terrible, it's still great whiskey and great cheese.
Correct.
Right. So, if anybody is going to complain about that, I think they need more help than I can offer.
Yep. Are you going to do anything?
I'm going to try some. Can I grab a little nugget of blue off you?
Did my hands bother you?
No, they don't. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So oftentimes we marry it in our mouth.
It actually brings it.
The whiskey became a little more potent.
Became a little bit more potent, and it woke up a little earlier.
Yes.
I didn't have to wait until the.
I agree with you, right? I'm just getting the cheese around it, but the whiskey seems to be winning the day.
Yeah.
How was the cheddar? It's a 2-year aged Australian cheddar.
I think with that cheddar, what ended up happening, it sort of evened it out more.
Yeah.
It really did. I didn't get that punchiness until I really tried to take it in.
Yep.
Didn't get it, but I have like so much cheddar in my mouth, so it's almost like there's a molding of this cheddar, and then there's this whiskey right behind that's trickling right through the middle of it. An amazing drink.
Here's my question, gentlemen, and we'll begin to really wrap it up. Would you pair it again, or would you drink it with nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I would take that to a chimenea. I think you can pair with situations.
Right. Excellent point.
All right.
Excellent point.
Valid.
I'd say if you had dinner here and it was a pleasant night outside, light up the chimenea, take it outside. I, for one, wouldn't let that bottle live for much longer than 48 hours. I'd invite my friends and say, we're going to, everybody line up your Ubers now because this ends here and tonight.
We live along the way. All right. So the toast tonight, gentlemen, is in actual reference to the day of that we're celebrating this for, which is for me. And so it's my birthday. And so the toast is a traditional. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
All right.
The toast is a traditional happy birthday to me. So wish me a happy birthday, would you, lads?
Happy birthday, mate.
Happy birthday to me. Thank you for having this experience with me. Welcome to the bitter end, Ethan.
Yes.
The
Thank
Lagavulin,
you.
pre-war. Amazing glass of whiskey that has been here for a while. I'll tell you. Nobody's going to stop me from having another glass of this shortly because,
That is
wow.